Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. This lecture we're learning about identity access management, and specifically we're looking at a scenario where we've just joined a small company. We are now the new system administrator. Let's say we're in a team of 4 or 5 in the entire company, so we control everything to do with AWS, and the old system administrator has left on bad terms. Maybe he or she was moonlighting or wasn't doing their job properly or whatever. What we need to go and do is we need to go in to the AWS console, and we need to secure this account to make sure that it is 100% safe from the person that's left. And you will see this, certainly if you work in smaller businesses in real life. So for the rest of this course, we are going to be very, very hands-on. I'll only use PowerPoint presentations where needed. I hate death by PowerPoint personally. The best way to learn AWS is by getting your hands dirty. So let's log into the AWS console. Okay, so here I am in the AWS console. You notice that I'm in the Irish region right now by default. Remember with IAM that it basically is global. When you create users or groups or passwords, or we assign policies to a user or to a group or to a role, and we set, normal password, rotation policies, all of that sort of stuff is done at a global level. It's never done regionally. Could you imagine how hard it would be to manage this on a regional, region by region basis? So that is an important thing to understand going into the exam. You always find IAM under the Security, Identity, and Compliance section. Click in here and click on IAM. Now, depending on your IAM, you might have this just as a green tick and everything else as crosses. In this scenario, I'm just going to assume that basically we've got a system administrator. They've set up multi-factor authentication on the account. They've also got root access keys, so a secret access key basically set up on the root level. And what we need to go ahead and do is we need to go ahead and secure this account. So your screen might not look like this. It might look slightly different, but let's go through and have a look at how we can secure this account. Now, there's a couple of ways we can access the root credentials. We can actually click in here and go manage security credentials. This is actually an old splash screen that's outside of identity access management. It predates IAM. You can also do it by clicking up here and going over to my security credentials. Either way, it will take you to this screen and it will prompt you, and it will basically be saying, whoa, hang on, you're doing this at a root level user access basis. Do you really want to be doing this, or do you want to be starting with IAM users? Well, because our root level user has left, we want to continue to security credentials. So in here we can see our password. We can go ahead and change our password. If your root user has left the company and you're the new root user, the very first thing you want to do is go ahead and change the password. The next thing we want to do is we want to basically disable multi-factor authentication and then re-enable it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit deactivate and deactivate this now. Then I'm going to go ahead and activate. I'm going to use a virtual MFA device. For those of you that have smartphones, just download Google Authenticator and go ahead and install that. Once you've got Google Authenticator, all you need to do is take a snapshot of this QR code. You'll then get a code. You enter that code, you wait for that code to expire, and then you enter your second code, and then you go ahead and hit activate MFA. I'm quickly just going to pause the video now and go ahead and do that, and I'm going to use a new QR code so you guys can't steal my QR code. So I'm just going to pause the video and reactivate multi-factor authentication. Okay, so I've now gone ahead and reactivated virtual MFA. This is a new multi-factor authentication, which means the previous system administrator can no longer use their 2FA. One thing you guys should know, by the way, is just interesting. If you ever get 2FA and you get that QR code, take a photo of the QR code first and store that photo in S3. And that means that if you ever actually go ahead and lose your mobile phone, you can still reactivate two-factor authentication using that QR code. All you need to do is download it from S3 and then use Google Authenticator. Just open it up on your computer, on your laptop or whatever, and then open up Google Authenticator and add a new authentication method. And you can use that QR code months or even years later, and then you won't have to call AWS to reactivate two-factor authentication in case you lose your mobile phone. Not many people know that. I always found that really interesting. So we've gone ahead and we've changed multi-factor authentication. We've also gone ahead and rotated or changed our password. In theory, I haven't actually done that in this lab, but you would go ahead and do that. Next thing we do is have a look at our access keys. So our access key ID and secret access key. If that person has an access key ID and secret access key, the very first thing you want to do is go ahead and just delete it. Obviously, using that access key ID and secret access key, they can go ahead and programmatically access your AWS account. So go ahead and delete that. Once you've deleted it, you pretty much don't ever really want to use a secret access key and an access key ID on your root account. You do it all through IAM and you do it through users and you give them least privilege. If you do it through your root account, it means they have, that access key ID and secret access key will have complete access to your AWS account. So let's go back to our dashboard. We can see now that our delete your root access keys has been deleted. We've changed the password and we've also changed multi-factor authentication. The last thing you might want to do is just go ahead and check on their users. So if we just go over to users, you might just want to see what users the system administrator has. Don't worry about these three. I'll explain these a little bit later on in the course. And you just want to check, like, when was the last activity? And for me, this is actually really weird because I haven't logged into this yesterday. I might have some kind of script running, doing something. But it does seem a bit strange that my user Elon Musk has gone ahead and accessed my AWS account yesterday when all my other users have only accessed it 101 days ago. So I will go ahead and just delete this access key, or that user actually. I could go through, if you just want to remove their access key ID, you can go ahead and just click on their name, and then in here go to their security credentials and go ahead, and in here you can see their access key IDs and secret access keys. So you could go ahead and delete them in there. You can also go ahead and manage their passwords to the console in there as well. Okay, so just remember, going into your exam, when you're resetting your root users, you need to create a new root user password and strong password policy. You need to delete the previous two-factor authentication and then recreate it. You also need to check if the root user has an access key ID and secret access key. Remember that this isn't actually necessarily visible directly within the IAM console. Like I said, you either needed to click on that green tick, or if it's across, talking about the whether or not you've got root access credentials, and then click in there and hit the, I think it's the manage button, or alternatively you've got to go up to your actual account itself and then go into your account settings, and then finally you need to check your other user accounts and just verify that they are legitimate users, and if not, go ahead and delete them. So that is it for this lecture, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, feel free to move on to the next lecture. Thank you.